Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatic Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Welcome to a special Thursday evening edition of the Wisco Fanatics Show. We moved some things around this week, thanks to Jake to help me out a little bit. Had some family stuff going on. My daughter's 5th grade graduation yesterday, so I attended that on Wednesday instead of doing the show. So we moved the show to today so we could cover the entire Giants series, so that way we don't get to next week and then it's like, oh yeah, that's right, we still have 2 games from the Giants series. Yep. So we'll have that whole series to cover today, as well as the Astros series from over the weekend. So we have 7 Brewer games. And then Jake and I are also going to give our number 1 guard and our number 1 forward target for the Milwaukee Bucks in the draft that is less than 3 weeks away, which feels kind of crazy, but that's where we're at. So, Connor, good to see you again. Jake, welcome back on a Thursday night.
Yes. How we doing? I hope everything went smoothly yesterday, and I know you had some stuff going on today, so I hope that went smoothly. I didn't get to talk to you about it because I was talking about the hole in my foot, which is a whole other side story that I could tell people later if they're interested. But yeah, so
probably not.
2 weeks from now, she'll be 5 years old, and I cannot believe it because when I found out that my girlfriend was pregnant with my daughter, I was actually doing a show. I was in the middle of talking. I think we were talking Packers football. And all of a sudden she comes from around the corner. She tells me she's pregnant. I'm just like, well, okay, now I have to try to talk about football when my mind is just gone. And now she's going to be 5, and she's huge. So you're going to go to bed now. Thank you. I love you. Good night. I'll talk to you tomorrow, okay?
I love you so much. I love you to my heart.
I love you to my heart, too.
Can I take my snowman?
Yeah, you can take your snowman. She just finished her first school year, which today was her last day. I cannot believe that went that fast.
Yeah.
It's just, you wake up and you're just like, wait, what?
Dude, I'm going to be a middle schooler.
That's insane. Like, yeah. And I have a stepson, and when I first met him, he was 6 years old. Kid's going to be in 8th grade next year. That's intense, dude. What is going on? You know what? You know the only thing that means? More gray hairs.
Maybe
that's
for
all
you.
Means. Dude, I have black.
Courtney wants me to get some, so I have some salt and pepper in the beard.
Yeah, the black and the white with the gray. It is a good combo, but maybe hold off a couple more years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like 10 years to get to that point. All right. Well, let's do what dudes in their 30s do and talk about baseball. And like I said, we got a weekend series for the Brewers in Houston, starting with an extra innings win last Friday night. So, Jake, what did you take away from the extra innings W from Friday?
Yeah, so Comey Crow on the mound for this one. Had to turn my ringer off there. He gave us 4 innings. It was his 3rd start of the year. Interesting 4 innings. 4 hits for so this is what I wrote down. 4 hits for the Crew, but they made them count. Offensive scoring was a homer by Hamilton III, his 1st of the year. He decided to hit for power. I was texting you about it, and I was like, "What the hell? He barely got that thing out." I said, "If it wasn't in Houston, you wouldn't have got that out." And you're like, "Straight power, dude, straight power." And he's actually been hitting the ball farther and with purpose lately.
I mean, he had the triple off of Seiya Suzuki's chest at Wrigley last week. I mean,
yeah. And then he has this one, and then we fast forward to games that happened against the Giants, and it was like, oh my God, he's getting lift on the ball. So that will make his bunting an even bigger weapon now.
Yeah.
Now that he's actually getting some lift on the ball. Apo Taco for him. On the 5th, they got a homer from Churio. Yelly got a base on ball, yes. Before Churio hit that home run, it was 431 feet. And in the 8th, Bowers grounded out to second. Churio scored. In the 10th, they got an RBI from Terang on a sac fly that scored Yelly. Still, he may not be one of the guys that when they show the stats, like, feet per second or whatever, but he is just a very smart player, very high IQ, one of the best base runners in baseball still to this day.
Yep.
So what I wrote down about Crow got some bad luck in the 4th, got a ground ball after a leadoff walk. Should have been a double play, but an error by Rengifo. Gave up 3 in the inning to make it a 4-1 lead. Bullpen again was tremendous. After this game, they were up to 13 innings scoreless in a row. Hall in the first of his 2 innings started with back-to-back strikeouts. He got 1 on the sinker, 1 on the changeup, then a ground out. Came in to start the 6th. Strikeout to Walker on the curveball. So he's got 3 strikeouts on 3 different pitches. So very nicely done. Got a couple walks, and he got the double play that he needed to get out of it. Then Ashby, he came in the 8th inning. He got a strikeout on the. I skipped right over Anderson. I apologize. He only needed 13 pitches to get through the 7th inning. So nice work by him. Pretty clean. Then Ashby comes in, got a strikeout on a curveball and a slider. So again, we talk about it all the time, but the Brewers just have stuff and they know how to utilize it. And I think a big thing that we should start talking about more is giving more credit to William Contreras, because he is the guy in control of the buttons. So he's done a tremendous job this season on when to call pitches. And, the pitchers have a lot of trust in him as well. So he's calling the right stuff, and they're throwing it correctly. Uribe had an interesting 9th inning. He's been – this was the game after he got the suspension, which we were talking about, texting about during that day. And he's been interesting the last week. I mean, he hasn't been bad. I'm not saying he's been bad, but he's been, if nothing else, he's been making you sit on the edge of your seat and sit up a little bit. I'll say that. And McGill, he looks like he's back, in my opinion. He got save number 7, dominant again. He's throwing the curveball, knuckle curve for strikes, and then he's got the velo back. So he looks like he's back to all-star form. So it might just be back to Uribe in the 8th and McGill in the 9th, and then you just figure it out. You get 5, 6, 7 innings from depending who's the starter, and then you figure out those middle innings, and then Uribe and McGill, they've been better lately. So just a good old-fashioned win. The Astros were on fire coming into the series at home, by the way. So I just want people to remember that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we know that he gets banged up today. But DL Hall, I put in my notes that DL Hall needs his flowers from this game. He's been very, very reliable this season. I know he came to the Brewers as a potential starter, but the role that he's kind of carving out is working out very well for him, and he is. I would say thriving to a point in his role, in his middle relief role. He's doing it very well. Coleman Crow, he was affected by the 2 unearned runs, but one aspect that I think we need to talk about specifically with the contact play, they had it in the 2nd inning. So Jake Bowers had a 1-out walk. He got to 3rd on a single by Garrett Mitchell, and you have runners at the corners and 1 out. And we talk about the contact play. We've talked about it in the context of if being aggressive worked 100% of the time, everybody would do it all the time. That's the game the Brewers play. They put pressure on the opponent. One thing that we haven't talked about in that scenario is that if a guy hits a ground ball with runners on the corners and less than 2 outs, that runner running to the plate is either going to draw a throw, and like Jake Bowers did, he gets thrown out, or the team's going to try to turn a double play. So if the runner at the plate is fast enough to beat out the double play, you will score a run on that play. But if that runner gets thrown out at home, one thing that we don't talk about enough is the fact that if the inning ends on the double play, you get no more at-bats with runners in scoring position.
True.
If they don't turn the double play, and they get the out at home like they did in this situation, you still have runners at 1st and 2nd with 2 outs. a ball down the line, a gapper could still potentially score you 2 runs.
Mm-hmm.
An inning double play doesn't give you a shot at scoring at all.
Mm-hmm.
Connor said, I get if the MLB wants to crack down, but to be fair all the way around, if Abner gets suspended, PCA should have too, or Contreras, that's fair. All I ask. I kind of have a feeling Abner's isn't going to get upheld.
I think so too.
And the fact that they didn't do anything disciplinary towards the Cardinals either, when they're motioning like at people, at like rib cages and shit, like you're gonna address the symptom but not the disease.
Hey, yo, nicely done. Hey, that was nice. Also, PCA situation was way worse than Abner's. I don't care what anybody says. You
agree?
Fully, clearly hear what he says to a woman, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. To a fan too. It's not like he was doing it to another professional that makes millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's a good point as well.
Going back to the Brewers' first win against the Astros, Cam Smith. He's a former Cubs prospect. He was one of the guys that was in the Kyle Tucker trade. Mm-hmm. I'm actually a very strong believer that he's going to be really good. I would kind of have liked it to wait until after the weekend, and now he can be really good. But, of course, he hits a home run to get the score going. David Hamilton hit the equalizer, like Jake said. Cam Smith gets the lead back with a double after the Luis Rengifo error. And I've been kind of wondering when a Luis Rengifo and Jet Williams / Cooper Pratt move should be made. And for me, that error was it. I get that the kind of low watermark for Major League Baseball as far as sample size is concerned is Memorial Day. So I mean we're at that point. Like we've been there. We've passed Memorial Day. So I get that even if you go by that metric, then it feels kind of reactionary to do something like the week after. But and then you get today and he makes some good defensive plays and you're like, okay, he's back. And it's like, what I will say on the subject of Rengifo, Pratt, Jet Williams is out of the two between Jet Williams and Cooper Pratt, Pratt is the guy that should be called up. He's the one that's performing better. We actually posted AAA stats. The hitters posted those last night looking at the stats. I think Jet Williams got a little bit of work to do yet, but I think if you're going to call one of them up, it should be Cooper Pratt, and that move could be made today.
I don't disagree with you.
You mentioned the Chourio home run. I love that he hit a home run off of a sweeper, and he hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark and still got it into the second deck. Love to see Chourio's power kind of coming into midseason form now. Mm-hmm. And then you brought up that Yelich not being the fastest guy, the fastest that he's been ever in his career, but still a great guy to have starting at second base in the extra innings. Mm-hmm. Just because I would say the first sac fly by Jackson Chourio, I wasn't super deep. So having Yelich on the bases, in my opinion, was almost just as important as getting the 2 sac flies to get to the ball of the outfield.
That's fair.
Trage, welcome back. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much the main things that I had with game 1. Going into game 2, didn't have much. Brandon Sproat struggled with his command in the bottom of the first, didn't give up any damage. Jackson Chourio almost caught a 1-out double. And one thing I will say is announcers were giving him a little grief, like, oh, that's one that Jackson Chourio has got to come up with. I didn't go and look exactly how many series that Jackson Chourio has played in Houston, but it's not many. The Brewers do not play in American League ballparks very much. Mm-hmm. And not to mention, Chourio was hurt for a big chunk of last year. I don't know that he missed any games in Houston, but he's 21. Like, you got to still be like, hey, he's a young kid, hasn't played much in a bunch of these ballparks. Like, he's still got experience to gain in some of these unfamiliar ballparks, one of them being Houston. What I will say is Tim Dillard made a great point that the guys pitching well in the rotation, not needing as much relief help behind like guys like Mizorowski and Harrison, does make it easier to give Sproat a little bit of leash when you're talking about the bullpen. So we talk about the bullpen butterfly effect. We talk about it often. That it makes more guys available behind Brandon Sproat, so he can get more MLB experience and stay up in the bigs in front of Chris Hook and Jim Henderson. So he can stay in front of those guys more. Pat Murphy said he's got to be better, but he's just got to get ahead more in counts. and he's just got to get deeper into games, which is kind of something we've been talking about. We've been trying to get him into the 5th inning, potentially get through that 5th inning. I would love to see a next start that Brandon Sproat makes it pitching into the 6th. I don't need him to finish 6th, but if he can give you like 5 1/3, 5 2/3, I will be happy with Sproat.
Yeah, that he's at the point now where that should be happening a little bit more often. Maybe one every other start or something like that.
Yeah. Steve, welcome back. Connor said, I agree. If the Rengifo, when you think he is turning it around, he goes back to normal. Brewers need a change at 3rd. I'm okay with Hamilton at short. He's played well. I agree. And Hamilton can get you on base, and he is the 2nd fastest player in baseball, home to first. Chandler Simpson is number 1. I did look it up the other day.
Huh.
If you go by like top speed, Jorge Mateo from the Braves is number 1, and Bobby Witt Jr. is number 2.
Really?
But from home to first is Chandler Simpson, then David Hamilton, and Garrett Mitchell is actually 6th.
Yeah, Garrett Mitchell is just the most intriguing player when you look at his advanced metrics, but we can get into that later. Yeah. He is seriously hot, super hot or super cold in literally every category.
Right. So I agree. I think it's time to try Cooper Pratt up in the bigs. Whether you put him at shortstop, 3rd base, I don't care. You put Hamilton at the other one. Yep. I've heard rumors of Joey Ortiz becoming kind of a utility player for the Brewers. I think that's a good role for him. He's late inning defense. I'm totally okay with that. If he's batting 4th in an inning, you know that the bases are going to be loaded for him, so you can always pinch hit for him if he's due up 4th in an inning.
Yeah. Dude, seriously.
Connor also said, are we ready to start talking about Miz on the same level as Skeens? Also, Miz, Harrison, Bowers, and Turang should be all-stars. I agree with that. As far as Mizorowski on the same level as Skeens, the National League is stupidly deep with insanely good pitchers right now. Yeah. Because there are 4 guys in the National League, and maybe 5 even, that you could argue they're the front runners for Cy Young. You could make arguments for legit 4, if not 5 guys.
Who's your 4?
So it would be obviously Mizorowski, Skeens, yep, Christopher Sanchez, Shohei Ohtani, and then I would maybe throw Chris Sale in there.
Yep, that would probably be the 5, yeah. Yep.
So there's your National League 1 through 5 in Cy Young. So if you want to go bet that top 5, that's a pretty safe top 5 for National League.
That's probably the safest bet you'll have in a long time, yeah.
The only other thing from Game 2 where I was like, okay, this is going to go in my notes because after this I just shut off mentally, is the Brewers getting absolutely screwed at home plate. Yeah. I don't understand how you go and look and you determine that his knee was touching home plate when it slides across home plate like 3 inches off the ground and his thigh is the first thing that touches after William has already tagged him.
Are you reading my notebook, bro?
My notebook says bullshit call stands on the first run. You could clearly see he was out, followed by a 2-out home run that would not have happened. That's you spot you. I know you texted me this and you were probably going to say it, but that spotted the Astros their first 3 runs of the game.
It really did, dude.
And, the rails kind of come off after that, obviously, with the 9-2 final. But, I mean, this entire series, the Astros infield was garbage. Mm-hmm. Absolute garbage. It's like you can see, like, the beads in the ground, like that you see in the NFL when a guy's trying to toe drag and keep his feet in bounds.
Yeah.
That's what the Astros infield looked like. The fact that this ball gets to the infield, it's on a 1 hop, so Bowers threw a good ball. Hits 1 hop and it bounces like almost over Contreras' head.
So you're talking AstroTurf?
Don't do that.
It's late at night, bro. Things are gonna get weird.
but that, then we'll get to Sunday in a second. But the pitcher's mound being shitty the whole weekend,
yeah,
like it was bad. It was bad. And I like that Jeff Levering pointed out on the broadcast that, like, hey, Mizorowski's going to get to a point pretty quick here where he can be like, he's got enough weight to swing around where he says, hey, come fix this shit. And you do it because he's Jacob Mizorowski.
Yeah, right.
So
we don't need him getting hurt on something funky.
Yeah. Not even going to put that into the universe. Just tell me what you took away from Saturday's game.
Yeah, so first thing I wrote was Sproat's command was all over the place. This was something I was talking to you about and my father about. He hit multiple people. His last batter he actually hit before he got pulled out. He got stared down from Christian Walker, and that was kind of when Murphy was just kind of like, all right, we need to – and I like that about Murphy because – and that's why he gets so much respect by the way that he carries himself. Because, like, yeah, he seems like an easygoing guy. Like, he seems like when he has to tell you bad news, he does it in the nicest way possible. But he's also going to be hard on you. And – there's a lot of discourse on X and Twitter and all these social media platforms where you see where Murphy's talking about some of these pitchers and he's being kind of rough on them, honestly, after games. And some of it is fair, but then he talks about guys like Blake Perkins and doesn't say keep the same energy, in my opinion. We could talk about that later as well. Yeah. But Sproat was kind of all over the place. Like I said, he hit Christian Walker. Every start, whoever is on call, they always talk about the same thing. They always talk about how his stuff is so good and it does this and it has this movement and vertical and horizontal and it's this fast and he just needs to be consistent with this and this. And they're always like coaching him through and they're coaching us through it while we're watching him. And he needs to just let his stuff play is something that I've heard a lot. But it's like the consistency is not there. So you got to let that happen. And I understand that it's a loss, but the Brewers have been winning a lot. So yeah. You gotta pick your battles. Like you gotta let them go through this stuff. This stuff's gonna happen, right?
I agree. And like I said, I want to keep Sproat in front of Hook and Henderson as much as possible.
Exactly. I did write the review center screwed him, and it screwed the Brewers. His knee was clearly off the ground. It was literally like his upper thigh that touched the base, and you could clearly see Contreras tagging him in the stomach.
Yep. The knee would have been the thing that needed to touch for him to be safe. And his knee is clearly off the ground.
Yeah. And then cost him some pitches, gives up a home run. What do you think that does to a guy's psyche? He has a play at the plate. He's playing on the Brewers. The Brewers usually their defense picks people up. And there's an opportunity where it's like, oh, they have a chance to pick you up, and then, oh, they review it, and they still didn't pick you up, and then you have to give up a home run, and then the crowd's into it, and it's shit, you're on the road. So, I mean, maybe later this will be something that, he could deal with, better mentally. But as for this, it cost us 3 runs, should have been 0. He did have a clean third. He gave up 1 hit in the 4th inning. Then he hit the batter, and he got pulled out of there. Rodriguez gave us 3 good innings to save the bullpen. Woodford,
good point.
Third of an inning, gave up a hit and an earned run. But, still a couple more 2-out RBIs. Got 1 from Contreras and 1 from Churio. So still good to produce the runners in scoring position and with 2 outs. So, you take it. They had a couple 3-run innings, by the way. They had 3 3-run innings. And then you move on to Sunday.
Yeah, so – Connor asked, do you think that the Brewers start to think about an upgrade at backup catcher? Gary has struggled. I can't imagine how tough it is to play with, to deal with a slump only playing once every 6 days. And this is a fair question and something I'm sure the Brewers are thinking about. And I'm going to let Jake answer this because I know exactly who he wants because he already brought it up. And while we're talking about the Astros, is the perfect time.
Well, I know that you think you know what I'm going to say, but I have a different thought. I don't think backup catcher is the spot where you need to be worrying about stuff, honest to God. And I understand that he's slumping and people are talking about it, but you have to take into factor the locker room stuff. And what's something that Murphy has said and we have said on this show? Mm-hmm. The most important thing is the people, right? That's the best part about being a part of this organization. I mean, people that have come over here from other teams. I mean, you talk about Jake Bauers, a guy who's, maybe been the most consistent offensive player for the last month plus. That's the thing that he talks about is the people in the organization. And, kind of switching sports. I mean, talking about Micah Parsons, he was in front of the media the other day. And what was he talking about? He was talking about the people in the organization, talking about the head trainer becoming his best friend in the offseason. He talks to the head trainer more than he talked to his wife and stuff. It's like
he said the same thing about Gutekunst, that Gutekunst was talking to him every day.
And that's the thing that you get in this state, which is why we are so emotionally invested in our teams because we feel like we're part of the team.
Yeah,
we honestly do. So
I dangled Yordan Alvarez out there for you.
I know.
He would be primarily a DH and he'd catch for you about as often as Gary Sanchez is because he doesn't play catcher very much anymore.
That's the toughest thing is like I do want Yordan because I think that it would just absolutely make this lineup unreal. But then you have to play Yelling more in the field.
Right.
And are people okay with that trade? I think you have to be, especially in a playoff series where, like, you have a guy like a Mizorowski and you have a guy like Kyle Harrison who, like, are barely getting touched at this point. If they're that way, you could deal with Christian Yelich playing the field.
Right.
If you're giving me a 300 hitter.
And I'm going to be honest with you. To me, the answer for that is no. Because the way that Jake Bauers is hitting right now,
I know.
And obviously you don't want to take Andrew Vaughn out because he's also batting like 400 over the last week and a half.
Well, you can put Bauers in right field.
They're putting Bauers in the outfield.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, and we can have this conversation, which we actually need to talk about how we're going to cover the trade deadline. Because obviously the Tariq Skubal thing got a lot of attention. And people are saying, well, we should just call up Lara because he's better than Perkins. Lara's not going to get any at-bats right now either. Because they have so many guys to get at-bats for in the outfield because Jake Bauers is playing in the outfield because you can't take him off the field. You can't take him out of the batter's box right now.
Yeah, so you got Bauers and you got
Vaughn and Bauers right now. They both need to be playing every single day.
Yeah, and you got to still give at-bats to Garrett Mitchell because you need him to be locked in.
And you want Sal Frelick out there because he's a Gold Glover and because he can get on base, even though he's batting lower average-wise than you would expect him.
Right.
But that guy can still get on base.
Yep.
And he's a Gold Glove level defender.
Yeah.
And obviously you're not taking Churio off the field. That leaves you in a place where Luis Lara is not going to get any better by sitting on the bench and watching guys above him play.
Yeah, plus he's a lot more enticing when you show his AAA numbers and talk about potential when you want to talk about a trade. I mean, it makes it pretty enticing.
You're pretty okay at outfield.
Yeah, we're okay.
It's better for Lara to be batting 4 times a day in AAA than to be sitting on the bench in the bigs. Not to mention that we did get good news that Brandon Lockridge is heading to Arizona to start some rehab.
Yeah, that is great news.
So Brandon Lockridge is going to be the guy that slots in there, and Blake Perkins is going to go back to AAA. It's going to be okay.
Yep.
Let's go to Sunday. And we get to obviously talk about Jacob Mizorowski because he finally allowed an extra base hit after 7 straight starts not allowing an extra base hit. That is ridiculous to go that long since April 19th to not allow an extra base hit in over a month.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy. He did allow the Astros to load the bases in the 3rd inning with 2 outs, but he got Christian Walker to ground out, and then he retired 12 of the 13 final batters that he faced over his final 4 innings. I love this, that he pitched 7 scoreless innings, had 3 hits, 0 walks. It's actually the 3rd time in 2026 that he's had 0 walks, and he had 8 strikeouts. That is his 8th straight game of 8 strikeouts. And then he finished with 57 strikeouts in the month of May. That is the most in franchise history. So just a fantastic job by Jacob Mizorowski. Following him, between Mizorowski, Abner Uribe, who pitched the 8th, and Trevor Megill, who pitched the 9th, the Astros' final 17 batters went down in order. You get 27 outs to make in a game, and their final 17 all happened in a row.
Damn.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Out of those 17 batters, 7 of them were strikeouts. So just the Brewers, horses. They're arguably their 3 best pitchers sequentially. They did the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
Steve asked they need at least one more power bat. Any ideas? I would say probably stay tuned with Jake and I because we haven't dug super deep into MLB trade deadline stuff quite yet just because the NBA draft is a little bit sooner. So stay tuned with us for that. We did mention a little bit earlier that we think it's time to DFA Rengifo and bring up Cooper Pratt, which would help a little bit. Connor said the only way that Lara comes up is if you want him to start somewhere or someone is hurt. 100%. If God forbid, knock on wood, Sal Frelick were to get hurt, Luis Lara is the first guy getting called up. 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jake, besides Jake Bauers' day, he had a really nice diving catch in left center field. Hit a long, high fly ball that carried over the wall in left field. Only 347 feet, only would have been a home run in 7 out of the 30 ballparks in Major League Baseball. But he did have some really long at-bats, smoked another liner to end the 6th right at the left fielder. But besides Jake and Mizorowski Day, what did you take away from Sunday?
Yeah, really the only other than – okay, so let's see. So we didn't get much offense, but we didn't need as much with Miz on the mound. Every pitch in the first inning was a fastball, and it was at least 100 to 103 miles per hour. He had 14 pitches in the first inning, all of them at least 100 miles an hour. He threw 20 straight fastballs to start this day. He broke off a curveball that was a ball. It was close. Then right back to the fastball for a strikeout. So he's just toying with people at this point. He had 2 strikeouts in the first inning. He had a strikeout looking in the second inning, no strikeouts in the third, a strikeout in the fourth, 2 Ks in the fifth, both with the fastball. I lied, both with the curve. And then in the sixth inning, he had 2 Ks as well, both with the fastball. Talk about how the Brewers got some offense. Really nice. Brewers finally got some offense in the fourth inning. Vaughn with a very good at-bat, 3 foul balls, 3 good takes. Doesn't miss the 4-seamer down Main Street. Gets on base for Bowers, who had a really great at-bat. To follow him immediately. Foul ball, took a strike, 3 straight foul balls. You knew that he was just waiting for his pitch, and then a hanging slider, 2-0 Brewers. And that's pretty much all she wrote because Uribe and McGill were really, really good. Miz, Uribe, McGill, I'm telling you, that is a scary thing to see. And the Brewers wrapped up the month of May with a 19-7 record, best in Major League Baseball, a 2.52 ERA, best in Major League Baseball. They won 7 series and had 3 sweeps. Those 3 sweeps are against all teams over 500, 2 division rivals. The Yankees, the Cubs, and the Cardinals. Beautiful stuff from the Brewers as they get a series win on Sunday. That might be my favorite day for the Brewers to win. You win on Sunday, you win a series, you go into work, you're all happy. You're like, yeah, baby. Yeah, how about our baseball team, huh? They're pretty good, eh? It just feels good. Like Monday feels different when they're going on a win, you know? I don't know if it's just me, but.
Yeah, I mean, wins are always good, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into now the Giants series. So the Brewers come back home. They have a 4-game series against the Giants. And with this series, it's a split. They win 2, they lose 2. So we get good news first, bad news second as far as the Giants series is concerned. Let's start with Monday's game. What did you take away from the 16-2 win without being super long-winded, trying to read off everybody that hits an RBI?
Yeah. Jesus Christ. This is the game that we were talking. We were like, dude, we're about to have a 3-hour episode if we talk about everything and all these games, bro. So season high in runs in 16. Season 9 hits in 18, had 11 walks. Great day to have the offense explode on a bullpen day. 16-2. They had 5 players with at least 2 RBIs. They had 3 other players with RBIs, 8 for 18 runners in scoring position. I mean, Drone, Chad Patrick. I mean, I don't know if you saw the post from Brewers on X, but they literally just posted Chad Patrick and said Chad Patrick. So funny. I don't know why. Stupid, but it's funny. Also, the GOAT, Pablo Sanchez, was at the game. The Giants had a very, very short-lived 2-0 lead that was literally a foot. And also, Cubs fans, oh my God, dude. If I didn't know anything about sports and I didn't know what cities teams played in, I would know that you were a Bears fan because you fucking suck at trash talk. I'm sorry. They're like, oh, this guy clears PCA. Brother, the ball went a foot over his glove. It wasn't like 40 feet in the air like PCA running into the fucking wall in the playoffs, dude. It's not close. What are you talking about, dude? I'm sorry. That got me riled up. You sound like an idiot.
Yeah, just like every single ball that gets hit in the air at Wrigley is a fucking home run.
Ooh. It's just a fly ball to the middle of the
nothing like a fly out that doesn't reach the warning track to cheer like you're about to watch the get up, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get up, get out of here. Caught short of the warning track.
I almost said some crazy shit right there, but yeah. Anyways, Brewers dominated 16-2. It was a great ass whooping. Great Monday.
Yeah. So and Connor just said it. I love the no quit and comeback energy from Pat's Brewers. They've been like that ever since he took over. I agree. They stay locked in because even towards later in this game, they're still running the bases like they're supposed to. They're still hustling, stuff like that. But to Connor's point, I love that the Brewers immediately picked up Shane Drowan. Yes, Steve, that did happen to PCA twice in the playoffs. He leaped for a ball 34 feet above his head.
Dude, it literally
sat at the base of the wall after he crashed into it. Like, oh my God, I could have caught that.
Literally happened this year, but it's fine.
Well, other stuff's happened in PCA this year too, but I think just the pictures of him in the playoffs jumping up towards center field when the ball is bouncing off the batter's eye.
And he's laying on the ground. It's like,
yeah, he's just sitting at the base of the wall. Like, and if I was 17 or 18 feet taller, Steve said it's still funny. Connor said at least Jackson doesn't miss easy flyouts and ground balls in center. Oh, I said it when the Brewers were playing in Chicago. I'm like, PCA gets the yips every time he sees the Brewers.
Yeah, he really does.
But I love that the Brewers immediately picked up Shane Drowan after giving up a home run to Matt Chapman, who, when he hit the home run, I'm like, the Giants have guys on paper that are really good hitters.
It's too bad he's so expensive. Otherwise, he'd be a trade candidate.
I agree with you.
And his contract's still like 2033, so no.
Yeah, no thanks. Well, they like basically put him, Adames, and Devers together.
Yep, that was supposed to be their core. And then Logan Webb, who we'll talk about in a second.
Yeah, he's good too. And then they have Arias at second base. Like, their infield is, on paper, it's awesome.
Expensive, but very good, yes.
But we do have them to thank for Kyle Harrison. So we'll talk about that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, Matt Chapman hits a home run. It's like, dude, I really don't want to be the team that the Giants get it going against, because they have the capability to just kind of get it going, just like I think the Astros do too. I think they have a good team on paper.
Yeah.
But the Brewers immediately pick up Shane Drowan after giving up 2 runs with a 7 spot, and it started with a backwards strikeout. It would have been a looking strikeout for Jake Bauers, but he challenged it, and it overturned into a walk. And I get that after that, 6 straight batters reached, which could have happened with 2 outs anyways. And as you know, Connor said, even today's game shows how much the team doesn't quit. I agree with you there. The Tigers game that they had in Detroit,
yep,
they made them sweat that out. I mean, they don't quit on the games, even if it makes your opponent use up extra guys in the bullpen. That's still, butterfly effect. Benefits you down the road.
Mm-hmm.
After that, walk for Jake Bauers. Andrew Vaughn flew out, so they could have been bases empty, 2 outs, but you have 1 on and 1 out. 6 straight guys reached before the next out, so they still could have scored 6 runs in the inning instead of 7. But picking up Shane Drowan, who in his second start was much better than his first. He pitched 4 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, instead of 2 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and 3 earned runs in his first start in Boston. So much better for him. I feel like he's probably gotten a lot more confident in coming out of the bullpen. And he was been much more reliable since then. But yeah, if Matt Chapman wanted to wait until after the series to catch up on dingers, that'd be fine. Brewers drew 11 walks. They had a season-high 18 hits. They had a season-high 16 runs. They scored 16 runs without hitting a home run. It's the 3rd time in franchise history. The first time happened in 1990, and then both of the last 2 times happened in the last calendar year.
Yeah, they did it last year. I remember.
It's happened in 3 times in franchise history, and 2 of them were within the last 12 months.
Yep, I remember when they did that last year. I forgot who they played, but I was like, oh my God, they scored.
Twins?
Was it the Twins?
Was that the game that Yelich had 8 RBI?
Oh shit, it might have been.
I bet that was.
It might. I don't know. I'd have to go through my notebook.
And to your point on the Astros being hot at home before the Brewers came there, I mean, the Giants scored 19 runs against the Rockies on Sunday before coming into this game.
What did I text you? I said, we are not the Rockies.
Yeah. But now we get to go play the Rockies.
Yeah, we got to beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Mizorowski on the mound on Saturday. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. But through 57 games, which the Brewers were through after this game, they tied their franchise record with 36 wins. Their plus 88 run differential through 57 games was a franchise high, and their 3.15 ERA was also a franchise high. So great stuff from the Brewers. Connor said Harrison is arguably one of the most underrated pitchers in the league. He might be the most underrated pitcher in the league. But go to game 2.
You don't have to argue it. I just think that he is one of the most.
I was thinking he might be like number 1 most underrated.
He's definitely in the top 3. I would have to. I don't want to just say like verbatim that he is, but like he's definitely in the top 3. I'll say that right now because his numbers. He doesn't have the innings pitched, but his numbers are close to what Sanchez is doing in. Oh, by the way, I was looking at that. This is like totally off schedule. When we play the Phillies next weekend, Harrison is on the mound versus Sanchez. That's going to be a nasty game, dude.
It's going to be a 1-0 final.
I know. Yeah. I was hoping that it was going to be Mizorowski, but I was like, yeah, that's just as good.
Yep.
I'll take 2 lefties dueling.
Right. Okay. So game 2, Jake Bowers did a good job getting ahead 2-1 to make Giants pay for a leadoff walk to Christian Yelich and Jackson Churio. Yep. I put this down in my notes, and I'm like, dude, Jake.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Bowers, his numbers when he's ahead in the count have to be just insane. So I went and looked. And when he is ahead in the count, this does not include even. When he's ahead in the count, so 1-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, ahead in the count. He is 41 for 139. That's a 295 batting average. He has 12 doubles and 4 home runs.
Damn, okay.
So, I mean, if first base wasn't stupid loaded with popular names, Jake Bowers would probably be an all-star. Steve said Harrison should be another Cy Young candidate. Dude, if it was 2016, he'd be a front runner. But right now, I mean, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show. Like, there's 5 horses at the top that it's Skeens, Mizorowski, Sanchez, Ohtani, and Sale.
The problem is a lot of those guys have the name power.
True.
So people are already going to be thinking about them. Those are going to be the guys that are voted into. I mean, even Mizorowski's getting to that point now with his name power because everybody talks about him throwing 100 miles an hour. I mean, Codify shares that stat every time that he's on the mound of the most all the pitches of 100 miles an hour by a starting pitcher.
And everybody asks about him after the game. You know, they're like, you know, they're asking Aaron Judge, what did you think about Mizorowski? Like,
so the name power alone. I mean, Ohtani, obviously the face of the MLB. I mean, Sanchez just had a streak of scoreless innings pitched just broken after like 60.
I don't think he got that high, but I think he was. I want to say his streak was in like the top 10. I think it was like 48.
Okay, it might have been. I thought it got to 60, but it was something insane. It was like, Jesus Christ, dude. And then the home plate umpire, he understood the assignment, was cleaning up the home plate. Nicely done. Not every day that you get a compliment to a home plate umpire. Just saying. Nicely done by him. But are you done, or you want me to go?
I was going to talk about Harrison yet.
Go ahead.
So Kyle Harrison became the first Brewers lefty in franchise history to have 10 strikeout in 4 innings pitched to start a game. Mm-hmm. And I said to you, I texted you during this game that he was pitching like his goal was to make 2 teams regret trading him.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Red Sox regret it.
Yep.
And that was, I mean, we should just scroll back to the Durbin trade and just see what people were saying and do our own freezing cold takes.
Oh, that's so – dude, we only have like 5 games next week. That could be fun.
Yeah, we could do that. I'm going to write that down. what I said in my notes, him pitching against the guy that he was traded for from the Red Sox to the Giants, went Rafael Devers. So Kyle Harrison got to face him 3 times, struck him out 3 times. So you got to love striking out the guy that you were traded for. And what I really loved about Kyle Harrison is his fastball above the zone. So the way that he's throwing his breaking stuff and then his fastball, like, it just looks like it rises. It almost looks like it goes straight and then it goes up as it gets towards the batter's box, and guys are just swinging right under it. It just plays like a rise ball, and it's super fun to watch.
Yeah.
So he pitched 5 2/3 brilliant innings. Murphy gave him a little bit of leash to try to play for his career high in strikeouts, but he was able to tie it with 12. Had the 2 walks, the 4 hits, and the earned run, which Willy Adames was the only guy that Kyle Harrison couldn't strike out, and he was the guy that single-handedly scored the 1 earned run. The Giants did get a run in the top of the 8th, and the Brewers said, fuck that, and doubled their score. So they're like, okay, yeah, we're going to make this a 1-run game. And the Brewers like, no, and put a 4 spot in the 8th. So the Brewers put that one out of reach with some good insurance. But Jake, what did you take away from the 8-3 win?
Yeah, this was the 18th time the Brewers scored first at home, which is tied for first in the NL. So that's always a good thing. Been talking a lot lately on the Brewers getting early offense. I started talking about 3 weeks ago, I'll say. And I wanted more consistent offense. Well, they're starting to get that now, and obviously the wins are just piling up. They scored in the 1st, the 7th, and the 8th. Like you said, the thing I love about this team is every time somebody scores, it seems like they respond. They're like, oh, okay, you think so? You think so, bud? I don't think so, bud. And then they just go and put a couple of runs on the board, so love that. I'm glad you mentioned Harrison striking out Devers. The screenshot, I think it was Brandon Snide that shared it. It was, dude, and Devers' batting stance is just so funky. That's something that I always appreciate about baseball is everybody's little nuances that they have, right? But he shared Devers in his first at bat, and he's just like, it was just the funniest photo. But yeah, to get 3 at bats and 3 strikeouts for the guy that was supposed, like, Harrison was like the piece for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
They got for Devers when Devers was causing problems. And the worst part about it is Devers was playing third base. They had Bregman there. And they were like, hey, we need you to play first base. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Gets traded, immediately starts playing first base. And then Bregman goes to the Cubs and gets swept by the Brewers. That is just.
And the Brewers get Kyle Harrison.
And we just win. We just win out of this for no reason at all. And it's so funny because Chicago and Boston, my 2 most hated cities, just lose. And it's just a beautiful thing. But yeah, just Kyle Harrison was just good. He's just a monster, dude. Harrison and Mizorowski, they're just elite. Ashby's elite. McGill and Uribe, we're just back. All the runs the Brewers scored were with two outs. So, I mean, just another day, another dollar, another W for the Brewers.
And Caleb Durbin is batting 194.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you God, I gotta send you one on TikTok, but there's an account I follow. It's this kid who just interviews like fans outside of Fenway Park. Oh man, you get some bangers, man. This one dude was going nuts about Kyle Harrison a couple days ago. It was the funniest video.
All right. Steve said cash money. For sure. I mean, going into the 1-0 loss last night, it's kind of a bummer. Robert Gosser had some soft contact traffic that loaded the bases with 1 out. He did get out of it. He pitched pretty well. I think between the 3 starts that he's had in the bigs this season, I think he's improved from each start to each start. So that's a good thing. Obviously, only giving up 1 run is pretty solid. Yeah. Chad Patrick pitching behind Robert Gosser did a good job to give the A bullpen the day off and basically made it so that everybody would be available today, which obviously ended up not mattering. Mm-hmm. But my really main takeaway from last night was that I think Pat Murphy, he made a bet. He put some chips on the table. He made a big bet. He had a strong hand. That strong hand was Jackson Chourio. He won that hand. Chourio had a pinch hit single. And then what I think Pat Murphy did was he gambled his winnings. And he put in Blake Perkins for Sal Frelick, who popped out a bunt. Luis Rengifo drew a walk, and then he put in Gary Sanchez for David Hamilton, who grounded into a double play. And, I will say, obviously, I'm not going to question the 2-time back-to-back manager of the year, but I feel like for as often as we talk about Murph ball, that the chances of you getting a home run from Gary Sanchez in that situation versus the chances of a ground into double play don't outweigh the chances that you can get a few guys on base in a row by having 2 on and 1 out.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't think that was where you needed to try to have a 3-run home run to flip the scoreboard, because obviously your pitching was doing a great job of holding San Francisco to 1 run. So personally, I feel like Murphy should have cashed out after Churio got on base, and you leave Sal and you leave David Hamilton in that game, and you play Murph ball. The Brewers, and I get that Gary Sanchez has a chunk of the home runs, but the Brewers aren't a home run hitting team.
Right.
That's not how they win. They can win that way, and they do occasionally hit home runs, but that's just not their strength. Their strength is getting on base and putting pressure on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm being post-game critical of the pinch hit decisions for Pat Murphy, and I have the benefit of hindsight, knowing that the ground into double play happens. But I feel like if you have the numbers in front of you, Gary Sanchez grounds into double plays more often than he hits 3-run home runs, or just home runs in general. Like I bet his ground into double play rate is higher than his home run rate.
Well, since he hasn't hit a home run since April 14th, yeah, I would agree. I forgot to write down the stat, but there was a stat about the Brewers pinch hitting, and they're pretty. Now, obviously, that's probably an area they can improve. So if you did make a trade and you wanted to trade for a utility guy that can actually get some good at bats, I wouldn't be mad at that. That would be a move that I think would improve this team a lot.
I think Brandon Lockridge helps in that area a little bit.
Yeah, and that's shit. We didn't even bring him up when we talked about the outfield, bro.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I said that we had good news that he's going to Arizona to start rehab.
Oh, shit, you're right. I'm so sorry.
You never listen to me.
I'm so sorry. I'm like preparing myself to talk about this game. So, anyways, let's just talk about this game. Logan Webb, he is good. Okay, I don't know if people just like don't like watch baseball, but Logan Webb, he's like pitched for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic and shit. Like he's good. He's a monster.
Yeah.
He's like if you had to pick a guy who's been like over the last 8 years who's been like the franchise player for the Giants, it would probably be Logan Webb. To be completely honest with you.
The Brewers are 28th in batting average of pinch hitters.
Yep, that's probably the one thing they're bad at, I would say, other than home runs. So, this was a one call. That's all kind of game. Gosser, I find it just such a baseball stat. Like Gosser finally gives you a gem, and then you give him 0 runs, dude. It's like, damn, bro. Last couple times out, he's been giving you 3 runs up, 4 runs up, then he gives up 1, and it's like, damn. But, that is baseball, like I said. So, Brewers only had 6 at-bats, runners in scoring position. They were 0 for 6, obviously. They got shut out. Got a double from Yelly, and they left 4 on base. But, then you just, all right, well, we took the first 2. We lost 1. Now we go to Thursday and try to win this thing. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Pete Crow Armstrong just allowed an inside the park home run to Shea Langoliers.
No.
He's standing in center field looking up into the lights like this, and the ball lands 20 feet behind him.
No. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. The top comment is by a burner account, obviously. But it's the top comment says, savvy move by PCA to not move a fucking centimeter.
Oh.
Oh. Connor said people looked at Webb's ERA like he was not good, but totally forget that he is a dude. And honestly, the Giants have a bunch of guys like that. They have a bunch of guys who are dudes. So, I mean, there's respect and there's ball knowledge that should both be part of this conversation.
I mean, and people were talking about Adames crazy coming into this year, but like, did you know that Adames was the first Giant to hit 30 home runs since Barry Bonds? Yeah.
None of the guys on their World Series team did it, huh? Wow, that's crazy.
Dude, I have kind of an insider because, like I said, I have a guy at work that is a
Giants fan.
So he tells me some of this shit, and I'm just like,
he hears some of the crazier stats.
I'm like, excuse me? He's like, yeah, for real. I'm like, my goodness, dude, what the hell happened to your team? You sell your souls for all those World Series, dude?
Right? Jesus, yeah, winning every other World Series for 6 years must have been fun.
Yeah, seriously.
And now Buster Posey is their president of baseball ops, and he sent a guy to the Red Sox so that they could trade him to us. So
yeah, don't worry. He says I love Posey as a player, but he is absolutely fucking our team right now. His words, bro.
That's funny. Not as funny as PCA allowing an inside the park home run to a catcher, but that's pretty funny. True. All right, let's go to today's game. I don't know what do you want to say about today, but you know it is what it is. As far as what I will say is giving respect to guys who aren't statistically having their good seasons, and just giving respect to opponents in general. I do think you'll find that probably with us more than you'll find it in a lot of places, other podcasts and such like that. Like I think you'll find even the Chicago team sometimes you'll find the respect from us where it's due. Okay, so let's go to today's game. Last Brewer game of the day. What'd you take away from today?
Crow was he looked like a AAA pitcher today. He was getting hit hard.
From the first pitch.
Yeah.
Literally the first pitch.
6 earned runs, 2 walks, 9 hits. Deal Hall was actually dealing. Sucks that he had to go out with an injury.
Yeah.
He was dealing. He was trying to keep him in the game at least, which is what the Brewers bullpen does, honestly, most of the time.
Yep.
Grant Anderson as well had to leave with an injury. He gave up a couple earned runs, though. Woodford, he's
the guy you put in to wear it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. I feel bad for the guy, honestly, because he's just like, all right, well, get back out there and get your ass beat, buddy. He's basically like, instead of putting in a position player there, it's like, yeah, well, we got to let this guy pitch.
I feel like when they put in Woodford, that obviously they're either winning by a lot or losing by a lot, but they're put him in and they say, don't worry about the results, just count outs.
Yeah, that's fair. That's not a bad mindset to have, yeah.
I mean, if they're putting him in, you know, they're like, hey, we're down 12-5, we need 6 outs. That's it. We just need you to get 6 outs.
You know, the Brewers, this team never quits, man. So you got to watch the entire games. You got to watch all 27 outs because they all count, right?
Yeah.
Chourio, his 3rd career multi-home run game, hit a 2-run homer in the 7th. Hamilton homered in the 8th. In the 9th, Perkins walked, which scored Chourio. Freeland grounded into a fielder's choice, the first, which scored Sanchez. Rengifo had a nice hit. And then David Hamilton was probably, yarded or feet-wise, I would say 10 feet away, 5 feet.
He hit 395. The dead center field is 400.
Man, he was close, dude, to tying that son of a bitch up. But I was like, damn, bro.
If he hit it to one of the corners, it would have been a tie game.
They could have easily just rolled over and been like, move on to tomorrow. But this team doesn't quit. They want to win every day. They go into they have this attitude, and this is Murphy ball, right? They go into every day like, let's win today. Let's win today. And, you know, they're still on pace. I believe they're on pace to win 102 games right now or 101. I don't remember the math. I did it the other day, and they were on pace for 103, and I think they lost the last 2 games after I did that, so I probably should not do that ever again. But
yeah, don't do that.
I want them to win 100, dude.
It was good to see Chourio have his power resurgence, and David Hamilton got his 2nd home run, and Jackson Chourio put up David Hamilton's season home runs in one game. And it was good that the Brewers made the Giants a little sweaty. They plated 3 runs in the 9th and were about 5 feet away from David Hamilton tying the game. But my main chunk of my notes says that Coleman Crowe got off to a rough start from literally the first pitch, and that kicked off a series of unfortunate events. So the Giants score a bunch of runs in the first inning. DL Hall was leaving with a trainer after 2 1/3 innings where he only gave up 1 hit. And Grant Anderson got hit by a line drive, and he had to come out. Woodford came in 2 batters later, allowed a grand slam to a former Brewer.
Yeah.
So it's like, from the first pitch, this game kind of felt like, well, this is a bummer. Like I said, kind of just a series of unfortunate events, but the Brewers still made the Giants sweat it out, made it a save situation. So, Steve, yes, that would be very much a new franchise record. The Brewers actually set the franchise record last year with 97. So, Connor said we were 5 feet away from a tie game. If you told me that after the 7th, I would have told you were crazy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then that goes to all the comments that you guys are saying, like the team not quitting on it. Like they don't want to quit. Not like I'm not trying to like poke the team that just beat the Brewers today, but like the Giants in the first game of the series on Monday, like the Brewers were beating the hell out of the Giants and they took all of their main guys out.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with the Brewers. They have a weekend series at Colorado. So Friday through Sunday, they will be at Colorado. And then next week, we will also have the first 2 games of the Brewers at the Sacramento A's. So we'll have that next week as well. So we'll have 5 games, and maybe we'll work in the trade deadline into that as well. And then we'll also next week have the AA report. This week we posted the AAA with pushing the show back. We didn't want to pile too much on top of this. So we added that in to some of the posts that we made this week. So other than that, is there anything else you want to say about the Brewers before we switch over to the Bucks?
2 out of 3, baby. That's all we want. They took 2 of 2, so whatever.
Okay, so we're going to switch over to the Bucks. We have some Bucks discussion today, and we're talking about the draft. So today what we're going to do is we're going to give our number 1 guard and our number 1 forward target. And Jake and I talked about it, and instead of making this an hour and a half long segment on its own by talking about every player that the Bucks have met with, which I have the whole list, which we can read when we're talking about the draft. But Jake and I are going to live stream during the draft. So that's going to be the plan. So what we'll do is we'll turn the draft on. We'll hop on and go live, and we'll start talking about all these guys. But today what we want to do is give our number 1 guard and our number 1 forward. So Jake, I'll let you pick if we want to go guard or forward first.
Let's go forward first.
Okay.
I know you're excited to talk about a guy.
I am.
Do you want me to go first?
What?
You want me to go first?
I was going to go first because I picked my forward first. So you picked your guard first, so I figured I'd let you go first for guards. So
okay.
That's the Sox fan really broke PCA. Go on Twitter and just look up the A's account because that's hilarious. Anyways, so going into forwards, I picked my forward first. Jake claimed his guard, so I'm like, okay, I am claiming my number 1 forward, and it's Yaxel Lendeborg from Michigan. He is my number 1 forward target. I understand that he's going to be 24 in September, and the thing for me is that he's 6'9", 230 pounds.
Yeah,
you're drafting an early 20-year-old who could essentially have the same body as LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
And say what you want about LeBron James, but I would have been ecstatic to look at LeBron James at 41 and feel like I looked anything close to that at 25.
Dude, I mean, he spends $1 million on his body every
that dude, like I said, feel how you want about it, the way that he plays, the way that he carries himself, whatever. But for a 41-year-old, that dude is a physical specimen of a human being.
Yep.
And Yaxel Lendeborg has a similar frame to that guy.
Yes, sir.
So he averaged 15 points, 6 rebounds, just about 7 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 51% from the field, 37% from 3, which is solid. The year before, he actually averaged 17 and 11 at UAB. So the numbers back him up. He's a good hustle guy and a willing defender. Something that I'm really big on is guys being willing defenders, even if you're not a great defender, being a willing defender, which is really good for transition defense. I think he's a decent passer. He has some back to the basket ability. He's a good finisher in the paint. He makes dunks look super easy. Like, he looks like he barely gets off the ground, and then he's throwing down like a tomahawk dunk, and it's like, dude, he like barely jumped.
All right.
So it's weird, like, how he makes dunks look easy. He's a really good rebounder, not just by like grabbing rebounds that are bouncing in his direction, but by putting himself in good position to grab rebounds. I think that's a really underrated aspect of rebounding, not just, everybody leaves to get back on defense and you're grabbing a rebound that bounces right to you. Like, to me, there's some nuance to it. Like I said, with his 3-point shooting, he's a capable shooter. And then what really made me kind of flip my switch on why I want Yaxel Lendenborg as my number one forward for the Bucks to draft is watching the way that the Oklahoma City Thunder were defending Victor Wembanyama. And it's not to say that they did it perfectly, and I don't think you can, because I think Wemby is just a freak and he's going to break the league. But seeing that they were putting Jalen Williams, who's like 6'7", 6'8", maybe, as their primary defender on Wemby because they couldn't have Hartenstein on him, and like Chet can't play the full 48 minutes. Not to mention that Wemby owns Chet, but that's a conversation for a different day. But just seeing the potential unlocking of defensive versatility that you can do with a guy who's 6'9", but still is a fluid mover. Mm-hmm. I really feel like Yaxel Lendenborg could be that kind of guy that we talked about when the Bucks hired Taylor Jenkins. A guy that I really liked was Brandon Clark. And literally 2 days after we were talking about Brandon Clark, we find out that he passed away, which is super sad because he's 29 years old. Yeah. But looking at the way that the Grizzlies operated when Taylor Jenkins was there, I feel like Yaxel Lendenborg is a guy who could be really useful the way that Brandon Clark was on those Grizzlies teams.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your forward?
Sorry. All right. So the guy that I chose was Chris Sinek Jr. out of Houston. This guy was a 5-star recruit, McDonald's All-American. 6'11", 240 with a 7'5" wingspan. This guy just looks ridiculous in a basketball jersey. He averaged 9.5 points, 7.9 rebounds, 0.7 assists, 0.8 steals, and 0.5 blocks. He shot 49% from the field, 33% from three, 62% from the free throw line. The free throw line is really the only thing that worries me. The 3-point shot will get there, I believe. I think that he has a workable jump shot. He has good form, so I think that an NBA team can get the most out of him. His true shooting percentage was 55%. His at-rim percentage was 74%. He's really big. He has really big defensive upside. When you look at his size and athleticism alone, you're just like, yeah, I can do something with this. And going back to Grizzlies teams, when I was looking at this guy, I was like, yo, this guy might be Jaren Jackson, but right-handed, bro. He's a really good finisher at the rim. He made 37 out of 40 dunk attempts. He lives in the dunker area. That is something that I just miss from the Pat Connaughton days in Milwaukee, having a guy there. But instead of making him a 6'4" white guy, we can make him a 6'11" dude. Yeah, I'm on board with that. He has good form in his jump shot, like I said. Looks like he could develop nicely. Defensively, he had a lot of big flashes when I was watching some film on him. There was times when he was moving his feet really well, switching on the guards. He was switching on the small forwards. He was playing lanes. He was protecting the rim with his hands high, used his length to close space and ability to close gaps quickly. In my opinion, this would be we're developing and rebuilding pick.
I can see that. All right. I know you're excited.
Yes, sir.
I know you're excited. So we're talking about it. And we're getting ready to do some draft stuff. And we're like, all right, we're going to shorten it up for the weekly show. And we'll talk more when we're doing the actual draft is happening, because there's going to be 13 minutes between picks in the NBA. Now they're splitting it into 2 days. They're going to try to dress it up to be as much like the NFL draft as they can possibly do it.
Yes, sir.
So we'll have time to talk about these guys during the draft. But as soon as we decided that's how we're going to do it, Jake's like, all right, let's do our number one guard target and our number one forward target. And we did leave centers out of it just because we don't think that the Bucks are drafting Ademara or Hans Steinbach. Although we'll talk about them. Yep. And, there could be some transactions that change that. But Jake's like, all right, my number one guy, yep, taking this guy. And Jake was very emphatic about it. So, Jake, let's talk about your number one guard.
Yeah, so my number one, I could let you guys guess in the comments, but it would take you about 7 guesses. Like it took
me 5 guesses to get to it before Jake just told me who it was.
And it's Cameron Carr out of Baylor. This guy is listed at 6'5". He has a 7'1" wingspan. And the first thing you're going to do when you look at this guy, you're going to be like, man, this guy's thin. Yeah, that's okay. People are thin in the NBA sometimes. Wemby's thin. He's just
AJ Johnson weighed 10 pounds less than Cameron Carr does.
I mean, Giannis was thin when he came in the league. They bulked him up a little bit. Yeah. Think back to another guy that was drafted 10th overall by the Milwaukee Bucks 10 years ago, Thon Maker. He was thin. They just never got the weight on him. But Cameron Carr, if they get 10 pounds, 15 pounds on him of muscle, this guy could absolutely turn into a monster. 18.9 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 2.7 assists. He averaged damn near a steal. I'm just going to say he averaged a steal and 1.4 blocks. This guy is a guard averaging 1.4 blocks a game and a steal.
Tell the people why, Jacob.
51% from the field, 38 from 3, 78 from the free throw line. Those are definitely buildable numbers. 63% true shooting and 68% at the rim. The guy can finish, man. He has this guy could become an elite 3-and-D player. Good outside shooter and slasher, great on catch and shoot opportunities, but a lot of off the dribble as well. He shot 36% off the dribble, so that's pretty good, being able to create your own shot and shoot three-pointer at 36%. Always moving, high-energy guy. That's something that we always talk about. We love that in our players. He's 50% from 3 as the ball handler in pick and roll, so I think that's very interesting if you're thinking about pairing a guy with Giannis. Being able to shoot off the dribble is something that we thought we were going to get a little bit more of with Dame. Obviously, that whatever happened with that happened, injuries and stuff. Yeah. But really, Ryan Rollins, and we talked about it a bunch last year, he was much better as a catch-and-shoot guy.
Yep.
So getting a guy that could shoot off the dribble on threes now, he didn't have as many opportunities because he was so good as a slasher that Baylor had to use a guy to break down the defense. But having a guy that could slash with Giannis and then be able to step back and shoot threes is amazing. He has very good touch and amazing body control going to the rim, lightning quick first step. Make him an option to score at any time, honestly. You can run a back screen for him, get him to the rim. Needs to get a little stronger to be able to navigate screens. That was really the only thing that I could nitpick. But like I said, giving him that 10 to 15 pounds, making him a true point of attack defender at that 6'5" with that length. I think this guy, dude, I just see the potential. And like, it's going to sound super weird, bro. But whenever like I have like a draft crush, right? I like in my brain, my imagination goes crazy. I imagine this guy in the jersey of the team that I love. And I imagine him making the plays that I see on the film. And I'm just like, I like all the things of him stealing the pass, dribbling the ball. He's such a good finisher around the rim, but then he lobs it up to Giannis, and Giannis dunks it, and I'm just screaming at my television. Like, that's the things that I put myself through that. I mean, there's another guy on here that I could have talked about as well that went to Louisville, by the way. I liked him a little bit more than the guy that went to Arkansas. But we will save that discussion for when the draft is happening.
I think, and Connor, I'm going to answer your question in a minute. Cameron Carr's his measurables where I was like, oh, damn. Because Cameron Carr is 6'5". Yeah. He's a 7'1" wingspan.
That's insane, dude.
That is insane. Like, we talk about Ryan Rollins having crazy length.
Yeah.
And his arms are 2 inches longer than Ryan Rollins' arms. Also, with a 7-foot wingspan at 6'5", a 42-inch vertical.
Guy's an athlete.
Yeah, he is absolutely an athlete. And the first note that I wrote underneath that when I was watching tape of him is that he's a good blend of an athlete and a shot making.
Yes, sir.
I also wrote that he's capable off the ball. And then I also wrote that an underrated aspect of him having such a long wingspan is that it gives him a higher release point. and it makes him harder to contest shots against. And I understand that he's not nearly as tall, but think the way that Kevin Durant can shoot over anybody. And essentially, Cameron Carr has the build to be a guard version of that.
And he has a high release jumper, so that's a great call.
So that's kind of some of the things that I wanted to say about Cameron Carr. And then I texted you today, and as I'm thinking about it more and kind of reviewing my notes and reviewing some tape, I texted you and I'm like, I think I know why you might like Cameron Carr so much, maybe even subconsciously. And I think it's because that Cameron Carr would come in on day one at what we hoped Andre Jackson Jr.'s ceiling would be.
Yeah. Cameron Carr is the defense with the length and the athleticism, but he could score.
I think Andre Jackson Jr. might be a better defender than Cameron Carr would be on day one. Yes. But the tools are absolutely there for Cameron Carr. He just needs the refinement.
No,
and I'm totally on board with Taylor Jenkins being the one to refine that.
Yeah, we got a guy that is good in player development, and he's like I said, he's like a Pat Murphy, man. He's a little bit old school with some new school.
Yeah. So my number one guard target, I didn't tell Jake yet. I did tell him that I was kind of hinting towards this guy, but my number one guard target is LeBaron Philon from Alabama.
Wow. Okay, yeah.
He's another, not scrawny, but he's another skinny guy. He's only got a couple pounds on Cameron Carr. He's 20 years old from Alabama, 22 points a game, 5 assists, 3.5 rebounds, 1.2 steals, shot 50% from the field, 39.9% from three, so basically 40% three-point shooter, and just shy of 80% at the free throw line. He's a good ball handler. He can score in bunches, and with those two things come good footwork. He's capable of playing in a high-paced system. Alabama was a lot of go-go with their system. I think he's a capable playmaker, obviously averaging 5 assists a game. He can change speeds really quickly, which is, I think, an underrated aspect of how Kevin Porter Jr. plays. He improved his three-point shooting. He was going to come out in the 2025 draft. He was projected to go somewhere around 40, went back to college, now has made himself a lottery pick. He went from 31% to 40% on three-point shooting last season.
Yes, sir.
So a huge jump in his three-point shooting. For me, one thing that he has a really good sense of is when to shoot when playing in a pick and roll. So if you want to use Giannis as a screener, assuming you're keeping Giannis in this scenario, yes, him having the court awareness of when two defenders are going with the screener or when the person who is being screened and is recovering is a step too far away to contest the three. LeBaron Philon has a really good court awareness of when to shoot those shots. That was something that really stood out. He's a good crafty finisher around the rim. He doesn't have quite the length that Cameron Carr does. But I did hear in some draft stuff that I was watching, I did hear him compared to Ryan Rollins. Not that you need two Ryan Rollinses, but again, if you're going to make some, big swing type trades and somebody wants Ryan Rollins, you can maybe draft, LeBaron Philon, assuming you keep that pick.
Yeah, just replenish it. Yeah.
Yeah. He was a third-team All-American, and what I would essentially say is whether you keep Giannis or not, LeBaron Philon, I think, would be a good option to replace Kevin Porter Jr. if you're going to go that route. If Kevin Porter Jr. is going to turn down his player option to seek a longer-term deal because he's dealt with some injuries the last couple seasons, or if the Bucks are going to trade him if he accepts his player option, just because they want to go with, some more reliable guys. Not that Kevin Porter Jr. is unreliable. It's just he dealt with a lot of health issues last year, unfortunately. Yeah. So if whatever reason Kevin Porter Jr. is not on the roster next year, I think LeBaron Philon would be a good guy to potentially replace Kevin Porter Jr. And obviously, then you can have two Ryan Rollinses, but I think Philon is arguably a better ball handler. I mean, we talked about it tons of times in the last couple of seasons that Rollins doesn't handle the ball very well under pressure.
That was his biggest bugaboo. That and his weird passes he would do sometimes, but
leaving his feet to pass all the time.
Yeah.
So we're going to address Connor's comment here really quick because it's a perfect way to end the show and look forward to what's next. Connor asked, are you guys going to do any Giannis trade proposal during the offseason trades and moves? That's a great question because if it doesn't happen between now and then, on June 17th, Jake and I will be doing NBA transaction type stuff we would like to see with the Bucks. So expect a lot of trade talk during that. And when Jake and I were planning our offseason stuff, we planned it basically in two different timelines, where one timeline where they trade Giannis and one timeline where they don't. So we'll probably build some Giannis trade packages if that trade doesn't happen by then, because that's a possibility. But I think Jake and I are both pretty resolved to the fact that if the Bucks are going to trade Giannis, it's going to happen before the draft.
Yeah. I'm going to hold my thoughts, but I think that Miami is stupid and whatever. That trade package is fucking trash, but whatever.
So we'll see. If it happens before then, obviously we'll do like an emergency podcast situation. But if nothing has happened by then, it'll be June 17th. So yes, we will have that discussion, and there will be domino effects and all that. And like I said, we'll split it down to two timelines: what they do if they keep him, what they do if they're going to trade him. So we'll split that into the two multiversal options there, and how the Bucks go forward. But either way, we did agree when the Bucks hired Taylor Jenkins that he was the guy to be able to navigate either timeline that you were going to go down. So that's that. Thanks for tuning in on a late Thursday night episode. We will be back at our regularly scheduled Wednesday afternoon next week with the Brewer games and the AA report. So again, thanks for everybody tuning in. Connor, thanks for the comments. Steve as well. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.